Have you booked your photo shoot and now you're wondering where you want to take your photos? Here are some tips on picking which location to take your next photo shoot. Hi, I'm Abigail. I'm here to talk about photography, how I relate to it, and how you can get those perfect photographs. So before we jump into this today, I want to preface this by saying most likely when you book a photo shoot, your photographer is going to be more than willing to help you figure out exactly which location is going to work best for you. And yes, you personally get to say which one you prefer, where you want to be, and I think that's a great thing about planning your own photo shoot. However, if you're nervous about that, or you're unsure, or you just really don't know what would work best, your photographer is going to be more than willing to help you pick a place that's going to work best for your photo shoot and your desired needs. So this is not something that you need to be worried about or stressing about in preparation for your photo shoot. Talk to your photographer, tell them, hey, I don't know what I want to do, where I want to do this photo shoot. Please help me. These are the things that I want out of it. This is how I want pictures to look, but I don't know where would be the best location for that. And they're going to be more than willing. They will go location scouting. They will find you exactly what you need. However, if you're someone who's a little more hands-on and you really love to actually get out there and find the place, then here are my ideas, my tips, my thoughts on where's a good place to take your next photo shoot. I'm going to discuss 4 locations and exactly why each of these would be a good idea or maybe a bad idea for your next photo shoot. Location number 1, a studio. Now when you're working with a studio setup, what is great is it's a very controlled environment. You would have props, you can have backdrops, you've got studio lighting, you've got a very comfortable place to take your photos, and it's an area where you can relax, you don't have to worry about what's going on around you, you don't personally have to prep anything for it, it's all set up. One thing I would say about a studio setup that can be a drawback is that it's a little too set up. It's a little too clinical sometimes, and this really depends on which studio you get. Studios can be very fun, very lively. I'm not saying that a studio is at all boring, but I am just saying it is a very specific type of setup that you're going to be working with. And if you are someone who prefers a freer, opener space, or maybe you have a very specific vibe in mind and you cannot really achieve that or build that up in a studio, it's something that already exists out there, then please don't feel like your next photo shoot has to be in a studio. Studios are amazing, they are a lot of fun to work with, but I think where we're at with photography now, studios are not at all necessary. There's so much you can do outside of a studio and just so much fun you can have creatively both in and out of a studio, but it is definitely not a must. It can be a great advantage if that's something you like. Find a photographer that either has a studio or talk to your photographer, ask them which studios they recommend, have them book a studio for you. It's nice, it's hassle-free, and it gives you a great canvas to work with in your next photo shoot. So studio is a great option. Option number 2. Nature. I think this is becoming very popular, especially if you live in an area or a place where you have beautiful nature, beautiful outdoors, then this can be a great thing. On the flip side, it's kind of the opposite of nature, but in some ways very similar, is if you live in a cityscape, then using that same type of landscape that you're surrounded with, whether it is cityscape, nature, seascape, whatever it is, working with that and using that as your backdrop to your photos can be a lot of fun because you're really stepping in and you're allowing that environment to dictate a lot of what your photo shoot is going to be. For example, if you're having a photo shoot at the beach, you might get into the water, you might get wet, you might splash in the waves, or you might climb rocks, and it really helps speak through your surroundings, what your photo shoot is, what your personality is. If you love that type of thing, maybe you're in a forest and you run through the trees, or you climb the trees, or maybe if you have young kids and they really love climbing trees, finding a park or a forest or a place where they can do that. Inversely, if you're in a city and you're working with, maybe you're on a rooftop or you're on a street and using things that you have there, whether you are at the edge of the rooftop and you're looking out over the scenery of the city, or maybe you're spinning around a stop sign or walking down a street, crossing a street, whatever it is. There's some very classic photos that we have of cityscapes, some very famous photos. So even though I say nature in this one, I personally really love nature, and I think it's a very easy one to work with. You can also do city, and when I say nature, it's more just like the natural environment outside, being in whatever environment you are in. So nature or cityscape, whatever environment you find yourself in, finding a good location, and again, just chatting with your photographer, say, hey, which location might work? This is the kind of thing that I want to do. So yeah, nature can be great. I feel like that is, again, very versatile, a lot you can do with it, but it's a little bit more constrictive than a studio. In other ways, it's a lot more freeing because you've got more space, you've got more to work with, but it's a little more constrictive because you cannot change it as much. You don't have a studio set up with lighting and backdrops in the same way, but it can be super great because you can still use, especially with photography, you can still set up your own lighting. You can use this flash outdoors even if it's in the middle of the day, but it can just be really fun to be inspired by your surroundings rather than trying to dictate your surroundings the way you would in a studio. So second option is nature or whatever environment you find yourself in. Option number 3 is home. And I think this is something that has been for a very long time neglected, because when we think of home photos, we think of like just whatever picture you took on your phone or a selfie or something like that. You know, when you want to hire a professional photographer, so often we think we need to go out, we need to hire a studio, we need to go to a place that we're not in every day. But when you take pictures at home, that is actually, I think, so special, because you're remembering that environment that you spend most of your time in. And you are choosing to take pictures, to make memories, document them in a professional style, in taking things that you will remember, whether you have the photos or not, but just putting it in an album, documenting it in a way that you can share it with other people, that you can even hang it up in your home if you move ever, if your kids grow up, if it's a family shoot and they move out one day, they will always have those pictures of that home environment. And I think there is so much to be done, and I want to do more videos also just on what you can do with home shoots, because I think we're very undervalued many times to do a home shoot. So third location would be doing something at home. And then also, depending on what your home is like, there's so many possibilities. You can do something in your living room, you can do something in every room, like kind of moving around locations. You could do something in your kitchen if you enjoy baking together or doing things like this. And this is not only for families, let me say that as well. Even if you live alone, maybe you live with your significant other, maybe you live with some friends and you guys share an apartment together. Whatever the case is, I think whether it's only you, whether you're doing a shoot with people, if it's a group shoot, home can be such a great place to make memories and document them. And the thing about a professional photographer, someone who knows what they're doing, who's doing it well, because you might say, but my home isn't very aesthetic, my home doesn't look pretty, my home isn't a place that you would want to take pictures. I firmly believe that it is not your job as the client ever to make things look a certain way. Obviously, if you have a certain idea in mind, then go for it and try and do that. But it's not your job to make the photos look aesthetic. It is the photographer's job. And I don't think that there is any environment, any setting, any home, or any person that, given a good photographer the opportunity to photograph that place or that person, they won't do an amazing job. I think if the photographer knows what they're doing, if they've got experience, if they've worked with different people, doesn't matter where you're taking the pictures, even if you think it's the ugliest house, ugliest place, if you feel like you're not photogenic, a good photographer will make that look beautiful and you will fall in love with it. So don't worry about your house not being what you want it to be. Take that opportunity, get the photographer in, and take those pictures regardless of how you feel about your home. If it is a place that you have made memories, then it is a place worth doing a photo shoot in. Adding on that point of doing a photo shoot at your home, you're comfortable in your home, and that is a big plus. If you can ever design a photo shoot in any environment, whether it is nature, outdoors, cityscape, or at home where you tend to be more comfortable, then please go ahead and do it. I think one of the most important things, and this is also very important when you're choosing your photographer, is setting up an environment where you will be comfortable. Because when you're comfortable in your photos, it shows. And when you're not comfortable in your photos, it also very much shows. So it is incredibly important. And if you can do anything to improve the comfort that you're going to have, do it. And that includes doing a photo shoot at your home, which I think is a great idea. I want to see more of it happening. I think it's so, so beautiful. And honestly, sometimes the homes that are the least aesthetic really have the most personality, and those are the homes that I personally want to photograph in. And I'm not saying that you need to have an unaesthetic home, but you need to have a home with personality. And personality doesn't have to be aesthetic, it just needs to be authentic. So if you feel at home in any space, whether it's where you live or somewhere else, that should be where you do your next photo shoot. Which brings me to point number 4. Point number 4 is find yourself a special place. And this can be anywhere. This is a place where either you have a memory or a place that you go to often, or really just any place that speaks to who you are or your life experience. It can also be a brand new place, a place that you've never been, but a place you've always dreamed of. It can be a place that's on your bucket list. It can be a place that you've gone to hundreds, if not thousands of times in your life. But the point of having a special place where you do your photo shoot is to say, this is a part of who I am, this is something that is so precious to me, and putting your stamp of ownership on it in a way of saying, this is a part of my life, something that I love. And to give you examples, it could be your home. It could also be a place where you work. It could be a place where you go with your favorite hobby. Maybe you love surfing, maybe you love rock climbing, maybe you just love going on long walks in a special park. Maybe you have a pet and you love to take them out some days and there's a special walk or a special place that you guys go to. Maybe you went on a first date with someone at a coffee shop and you want to do a photo shoot at that coffee shop. Maybe you're doing an engagement shoot and you want to do that at the place where you guys first met. Maybe you're doing a family shoot and your family has always gone to a certain location for vacations. Maybe you're doing a friend shoot and the 4 or 5 of you in your close friend group maybe met at a certain place, or you had a book club or whatever it is that you met with and you want to go back to that place again. Or maybe you're trying to do something adventurous. Maybe you've always wanted to go to a certain location for vacation and you book a photo shoot there because you want to make it special, you want to have those memories. So having a special place for your photo shoot can be a place that you're very comfortable with, or it can be a place completely outside of your comfort zone, but it is a place of commemoration. I think that's the best way to describe the special place for your photo shoot. You want to commemorate something of the past or something that you're doing brand new, and it's really important to document that and put the time and the money and the effort into it. I think so many times, especially in the modern world where we have the ease of our own little tripods and every smartphone has a pretty decent camera on it, we will substitute that for actually having a professional photographer come and take the photo in that moment. But I say go out, spend the money, spend the time, get that photographer, get those photos, because you will not regret it. You will not regret having those memories, having that special place, as well as those special people, or even yourself, if it was just an achievement that you shared with yourself and you want to commemorate that. Or maybe it's something that is part of a grieving process, or something that you want to remember someone, where you go to a place where you used to meet with them, but they're no longer around. Whatever the reason is, I think it is more than worth investing in someone to come and help you make that memory or commemorate that thing, that you never have to forget it ever again. So in conclusion, we have 4 locations that you can try and look at and ask the question, is this where I want to do my next photo shoot? First, you can choose a studio setup, which is a very controlled environment, and you can have some great creativity. Don't think that that controlled environment is constricting. Each of these locations has their little constrictions, but none is more or less constricting than another. And a studio can be an incredibly creative space which you can literally use to make anything you want and really just build out that perfect environment for yourself. Second place you can do is nature or some sort of cityscape, whatever environment you're in. Having an open space, going to whatever location outdoors and being in that space, using that to also influence you, inspire you in your photo shoot, can be a great way to have movement and space and just enjoy yourself and be more free in your photo shoot. Third thing is to do your photo shoot at home. And I think that you should never ever let your home, wherever you want to, you feel at home, wherever you call home, never let that hold you back from doing a photo shoot there. Never think that, my home isn't perfect or my home's not aesthetic. As long as it's authentic, it is more than worth doing your photo shoot there. And the fourth place is a special place. Something that has significance to you. It could be any of the above mentioned places. It could be some place I didn't mention. As long as it has a special meaning to you, is something that commemorates either a memory or an achievement or a dream that you've had. That is your special place, and those can be some of the most meaningful, most touching, most memorable photo shoots that you would ever have. Let me know what's your favorite place to do a photo shoot. Do you have any go-to places? Do you have places that you've never tried, maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone, that you would love to try? And remember, studio, nature, home, special place. Which would be your favorite? Where are you going to pick to do your next photo shoot? See you next time. Today we're talking about tips for finding the best place to do your photo shoots.